Hello, and welcome to another Cooking the Books episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts.
Yeah.
I am a Tiny Habit certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach. I have lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for over 8 years. And with me today is my co-conspirator,
Donald Weigel, the book Cookingest Cooker that there ever was or something. I have been the host of the show for over 7 years, co-host of the show. I have lost about 100 pounds, and we are here to talk about it. And it is January. It's like you could argue it's basically mid-January at this point.
You could argue if you looked
Where did the time go?
Great question, Donald. And if I don't know why. You're the cookingest book in the book in the book.
Yeah.
And if you're anything like I was for 30 years of trying to work on my weight loss goals quickly, you are already halfway through January thinking to yourself, it's too late to start tracking in January.
I know.
I'll just start tracking in February. Everything will be better in February.
I know. Like, a lot of people go into January and they're like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do it. This is the time. And then, something happens. They don't do it for a day. And they're like, oh, well, there's always 2026.
I have literally January 1st been like, all right, I'm going to start my new goals. And then we have pancakes. I'm like, well, I've already messed up January 1st, so might as well just, 2026 is going to be my year.
2026 will be here eventually. We'll do it then, yeah.
Yeah, so if you are a grown-up adult living in America, USA, I honestly don't know what it's like in other countries. I'm not joking, but in January, in the U.S. of America A, people who have jobs get their tax documents to file.
Yeah.
From their companies, they get W-2 forms, and then by the month of April, you're supposed to submit all of your tax forms to the government.
Boy, we're really bringing up all the happy stuff, all of the delightful happy stuff right now.
But there is every year when we do our taxes, it's like, you know what? The forms are going to be in our mailboxes by the end of January. We're going to do our taxes immediately. We're going to get it out of the way. We're going to eat the frog and not wait until April. And then it's like April 1st and we're like, oh, now we got to do it. Why are our lives so hard?
Yeah, I know. We've done that a lot, unfortunately. This year though, I'm vowing to do it early.
Let's do it early.
You'll see. You'll see.
But there's a lot of dread about accountability.
Oh,
paying attention to your spending and your whatever, and do I owe taxes, pay taxes, whatever. And so we are asking you to meet your maker today.
Wait, what?
Oh, wait, that's not how you use that term?
No.
Oh.
That means you're going to die.
Oh, no, we make nothing, meet nothing.
Yeah.
No meeting right now. But a lot of times people kind of fudge the books when they think about how they can get away with taxes. Not us. We are honest to goodness people. We do all the things above board. But a lot of times when we're thinking about tracking calories, we make up a lot of excuses about why we can't do it, or things that we lie to ourselves about how we're spending our calories, how we're using our calories. So in this episode of We Only Look Thin America USA, we are going to break down 5 giant lies, big lies you might be telling yourself about tracking your calories, your points, any kind of food at all, in any way at all. We're going to call you out on your own lies.
And lies that you tell yourself are universal, really. They're not just for America, USA.
No, the taxes are American-based. The lies are universal.
International, these lies that you tell yourselves about tracking. And I've done it. You've probably done it. And we're going to talk about it.
We are going to talk about it. So we have 5 big old-fashioned lies that we are going to break down, maybe with a little bit of antidote also. So buckle up. Which ones do you think apply to you? So number 1 is, and here comes the lie. So I'm going to use a different voice. I'll track my food later. Like, I'll definitely remember later what I ate.
That was
I'll
a different
just eat.
voice?
I don't know.
It just sounds like your voice.
I don't know. Okay, so sorry, there's no new voice. It's just me. I'll remember later. My brain is infallible.
I'll track it tonight when I get home. I'll track it when I get back to my desk.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
feel like doing it right this second.
Exactly. I will just do it later. And I will tell you right now that there is nothing less reliable than the human brain. We forget everything. I tracked literally yesterday. I was like, oh boy, I haven't eaten all that much. So I looked down at the coffee table and saw the remains of a Lay's potato chip bag that I forgot that I ate at all anyway. And I had already forgotten that I ate it. And so this is just proof in the pudding or the potato chip that our brains don't remember later. That is a lie.
Yeah, and you would think that chips would be memorable, but we oftentimes forget a lot of the little things too.
Right.
If we don't track in the moment, we forget the butter that we added to something, that little sprinkle of cheese, that extra rolls, the side salad, the aforementioned chips that Catherine just talked about. And it's sort of like, all of these little things that you're leaving out when you don't do it in the moment. You say to yourself, like, I don't understand why I'm losing weight. I mean, Look at how I'm tracking, but those inaccuracies really, really do add up.
Well, and there are so many times when people say, I'm not losing weight, but I'm tracking everything. Oh, you are? Well, yeah, most things.
Right.
Like, well, do you track all those bites, licks, and tastes? Well, no, but that doesn't really count. Well, do you track when you overeat? Well, no, I kind of skip that. Like,
yeah.
But and then you realize it's not that you need a more austere caloric deficit. It's that accuracy is not in your vocabulary. So for me, what I try to do, because again, if we're just looking at the calories, if you are under tracking by 100 calories a day over the course of the year, that could be a 10-pound impact.
Yeah, for
200
sure
calories a day is a 20-pound impact. Like, and then that mystery, there's no mystery. You're just not being accurate. So some of the policies that I have in place in order to counteract that, my first one is I track it before I bite it. Like, oh, but I don't remember. Like, I'm just freewheeling, whatever. Like, I pay a caloric and a pound price for not logging in advance of eating it. It takes a little bit of practice, but honestly, 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day out of 24 hours to just put in that little bit of extra effort for accuracy is not a lot to pay for your health goals.
And even if it was double that, 10 minutes. I mean, when you figure like it's 10 minutes out of my whole day, it really isn't that big of a deal when you really look at it.
Well,
what
is it, like 0.1%? Like, you're not willing to put in 0.1% effort. Like, when you look at the number, it's really not that much to ask. And it can feel like a drag, but it is worth the additional effort. So again, my ideal is to track before I bite it. If I can't track it, I take a photo. I have talked about this before, going out for a lovely lunch with my family and believing that I tracked everything. Like, oh yeah, I had a salad, there was some steak, it was fine. But then when I looked at the photo, wouldn't you know it, there was a giant, delicious pretzel roll on the side with butter. And then suddenly my 400-calorie meal turned quickly into 600 calories. And day by day, if we forget all of those sides, we're really doing ourselves a disservice. So taking a photo is really helpful for me. If you can't take a photo, write down what you eat. There are studies that show that simply the practice of writing down everything that you're eating, generically, I had chips, I had pasta, I had meatballs, I had whatever. Chips and meatballs are a delicious treat that you can eat together. But writing it down over time, people who note and log what they eat lose weight more consistently and keep it off. I did a survey in Wolt Place. We only looked in Place, our Facebook accountability group, of people who have maintained and lost their weight. And guess what? Everyone at maintenance still tracks their food. You don't magically get to a number
Yeah,
and
that
then
is
never
for
have
sure.
to look back. People maintaining is keeping up a habit, not stopping it. It is like that, a process that keeps on going.
Look, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to point out that your famous chips and meatballs goes really great with cooked books.
It's crunchy. You know what?
They go well together.
I'm going to say something unpopular.
Uh-oh.
I do not like a meatball sandwich.
Oh,
or a meatball sub.
That is unpopular.
I don't care for it.
Listen, I've been a vegetarian for over 30 years, but I will destroy a veggie meatball sub. Oh my goodness.
I don't care for it.
Oh my goodness.
I love bread and okay, anyway, I'm getting
We
off
shouldn't
track.
romance about food on this show, but here we are.
Okay, so we've given you track it before you bite it, take a photo, write it down. The next one that I do is keep the evidence. My policy, my standard is I do not throw a package in the trash until I have logged it. So if that means, like I said, having the potato chip bag on the coffee table, it stays there until I track it. And that is a great visual reminder of all of those little candy wrapper, a little cheese Velveeta slice thing. If there is a package, I keep it until I track it. That way, I'm not stuck in that like, oh, well, I totally forgot, because memories aren't all that great. Also, and I came up with this one the other day. This is an extra sort of semi-bonus. To save room, threw out a package of cereal, like the box, because there wasn't much cereal left in it. I'll definitely remember how many calories are in each serving of this cereal. And I completely forgot and then had to look it up on the internet. So do not throw out packaging. We actually we have scissors in America.
Yeah.
We cut out the nutrition label on something and tape it to the side of the plastic wrap or whatever, so that we can remember how many calories we keep the barcode. Because
the app I use, which is Lose It these days, it'll scan the barcode on the side of a package. So I will save barcodes for things if I need to save space, in our fridge or our freezer, and put something in a smaller package. I'll save the barcode on the side, like Catherine was just saying. And before we move on quickly, I just wanted to say, going back 7 subjects, one thing that I do, and I know this isn't for everyone, but it really helps me, is I track my breakfast and lunch before I eat them. I do that in the morning because I typically am packing those things to take to work with me. So as I'm packing it, I'll track it, as I'm packing it in my cooler bag, which again, I know isn't for everyone, but that way I know I've already got those calories in the bank, and then I can just sort of for the up until dinner, can freely eat whatever's in that lunch bag because I know I've already tracked it.
Nice job.
Okay, the next one is, and this is sort of a corollary to the first one. You might say to yourself, if I can't track accurately, it's not worth doing at all.
People get so caught up on that perfection. I have like every single gram needs to be tracked, and that is not true. Yeah,
and this is the case of, well, I'm eating at a restaurant, or I'm eating at somebody else's place, or I have a dish and it didn't come out of a package with calories on it, or I threw the package away and I don't know how many calories are in this. So there's no point in tracking anything at all day because I don't know exactly what I just am eating.
Well, and two, that I ate at a local Italian restaurant. How am I supposed to know how many calories are in the lasagna? There's no way.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we're saying is that there are ways to do this. If you've got a tracking app in particular, there are examples. If you're eating local lasagna, there's all kinds of examples. Just pick one and go with it. Just figure out roughly the serving that you had at your local restaurant and track that. Just track something. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but get as close as you can.
Right. So for me, if it was a local lasagna, I might just look up Olive Garden lasagna and then just use that as a benchmark. Or if I'm having burger and fries, I will pick the national chain burger and fry place and just use that as my benchmark. Because when we like, well, the bun didn't have sesame seeds and that one did. Like, we don't have a sesame seed problem. We have a volume problem. So picking generically just sort of takes out that guesswork.
And studies really show that tracking does matter, that people who track their calories, whether it's, completely accurately or not, it makes a big difference in how they control their weight. And it's that visual evidence of seeing it and having some sort of guideline as to how much you're eating. It really does make a difference.
Well, and there are also people I have seen who on the weight loss tracking apps, people get really frustrated. There are 4 bananas on this tracker. One says it's 70 calories, another says 120. How could I possibly decide? Like, everything is chaos. Like,
yeah.
Dude, settle down. Like, just pick the one in the middle. If it ranges from 80 calories to 120 calories, go with 100 and move on. Like, don't hyperanalyze. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't believe that the entire system is failing because there are multiple numbers. Go with the middle ground and move on.
Yeah, you don't need to agonize over every detail.
Exactly.
Okay, what is our third lie that we tell ourselves?
Okay, the third is, and this was a really big one, is working out makes up for all of my calories. I used to do this. We would go on a casual 2-mile walk in the morning.
Yeah.
And be like, it is time for takeout. Like, I burned it all off.
That's
like,
right.
Boy, I sure did get in a lot of exercise. So now I can eat whatever I want. Or the opposite of, well, I just ate a candy bar, so I have to swim, 7 miles in order to take it off, whatever. We cannot outrun a fork.
Yeah, we have this idea that we can earn our dessert somehow by extra trips to the gym. And I think that a lot of people, especially, maybe it does. Look, maybe I'm backtracking a little. I think when you're maybe a teenager or in your 20s, I think there is a certain point where you really can burn a lot more, activity. But you get to a certain age, and I hear people all the time say, well, I know what to do. I just need to get myself to go to the gym. I just need it. But that 20 minutes or 30 or an hour at the gym does not make up for the amount of, lifting a fork to your face that you can do throughout a day.
Right. At most, maybe it would just help you maintain a little bit, but we exercise because it makes us feel good, because it's good for endorphins, it's good for our physical and mental state. And sure, the calories help, burning calories is a good thing, but it's not a 1-for-1 ratio. I think we totally overestimate what we're burning. In the book, The Diet Fix, Yoni Freedhoff also talks about that fallacy of well, I'm lifting weights, so it's probably all muscle weight that I'm gaining. And he gives, I won't give it specifically, but the statistics he gives about how much weight you have to lift consistently over time to actually get yoked and burn all these, it's not, you don't oh, well, I lifted, for 5 minutes with 2-pound weights. Obviously it's all muscle at this point. No, that's not the case.
Oh my goodness. If you do yourself a favor, seriously, you can find what Hugh Jackman did to get ripped for the Wolverine Deadpool movie. It's insanity what he did. It was things he would drink a ton of water and then drink no liquids for 36 hours before a shirtless photo shoot.
That whole
because
dehydration,
that whole dehydration thing. And the amount of protein he was downing and the amount of actual exercise it took to get into that kind of shape.
Full-time job.
I mean, it's absolute, no regular person could do this.
Right. So really not tying your fitness to your calories is really important. Sure, there are elite athletes who have it all, figured out. But for the normal people like us, we're normal people, aren't we, Donald? We're just normal folk.
I mean, like, my goal is not to be shirtless Wolverine. My goal, seriously, is to be an 80-year-old who can still walk upstairs.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even
Oh my
kidding.
gosh.
Like, that's what I want. I still want to be able to, be mobile and walk when I go on vacation or walk when I go anywhere, really.
Yeah. And to finish off this section, I think it was Yoni Friedhoff also said, it is easier to not eat a calorie than it is to burn it off. So don't tie the fork to your fitness. Keep them separate. That is what I'm telling you. So Donald, what is next?
The next one is you say to yourself, well, I'm eating clean.
Oh, so natural.
I'm just eating organic,
Whole foods.
and natural whole foods. Like, I don't understand why I'm still gaining weight. But guess what?
Yeah.
All of those foods still have calories in them. And there is something called the halo effect. When we put, a good quality upon something, we tend to think that the entire thing is good. If we say that something is organic or natural, that we might think, oh, well, then there's nothing wrong with it.
There's virtue in it. It's agave. It's a plant. It's from the Southwest. Amazing. There's no calories in that.
And I think that, things like nuts really fall into this category because nuts are natural. They're whole foods. They're, they can be organic. And yet they are one of the most calorie dense foods that you can have. Like, peanut butter is like more calories than something should have jammed into it. Now, not saying you shouldn't eat peanut butter, but just saying like if you can really still pack on the calories and therefore the pounds if you're eating all of these, organic, whole foods, natural things.
Right. And there's a double entendre in the whole foods thing. The halo effect ties into where you get your food from. So if you're going to Whole Foods Market and everything is organic and the packaging is made of recyclable material, there is literally people think that because it is organic, that it is healthier for us. And we think it is virtuous to eat from the hot bar and get the pizza from Whole Foods because it's all like that halo of everything under this store is good for me. And just because you got your pizza from Whole Foods doesn't mean that it has fewer calories than Pizza Hut. And also as part of this, we judge others by the food that they eat. Oh, you're eating an Oreo? You're a garbage person. I'm eating the Whole Foods Ho-Ho sandwich cookie made from wishes and moonbeams. We pass judgment on others for not eating that organic version. And we think that like, oh, it's an organic fruit roll-up. Like, oh, this is like all natural for my kid. There is no caloric difference between the two. And so letting go of that virtue around like, well, it's a smoothie. I used to do this. Jamba Juice. How many Jamba Juices can I drink?
Did I?
Oh my gosh, so many vitamins. I added protein powder to it. It's 600 calories.
Yeah, I was going to say 12,000 in one Jamba Juice, but that's a little bit of an exaggeration. And trust me, you cannot fill up on moonbeams and wishes. Also, I've tried. No matter how many you eat.
For me as well, going to vegetarian restaurants or things that are like, oh, well, it's tofu, so it's definitely healthy. But then you find out, like literally P.F. Chang's, they have the delicious Mapo tofu dish fried. Oh, it's delicious. I'm eating vegetables. It's good for cholesterol. 1,500 calories.
Yeah.
Right? It's not in itself low calorie just because it has those buzzwords associated to it. So watch out.
Yeah, slightly off topic. Like one of the things that I would love about society is to get rid of the notion that there are good foods and bad foods.
Yeah.
I think it is really damaging psychologically. I think that, if I eat one Oreo cookie, then I'm a bad person is really harmful, a harmful attitude. Like you can lose weight no matter what you eat if your portions work. If you burn more calories than you eat, there are some foods that are more nutrient dense than others for sure. But in terms of actually losing weight, you can really eat anything you want if you do it the right way.
Right. And the converse of that, or sort of tied into it, is when professionals give you, like, you need all organic, low cholesterol, low, all of these different things. When we're just starting out, we just need that lower calorie count.
Right.
Like, not like throwing out everything in our refrigerator and now I can't eat any food and now I've got to be super austere. That just leads us to feel really demotivated and stressed out. Sure, when you're at that elite level and you're really like, I've lost the weight, now I'm really ready to drill down on the details. Sure, you can look at macros and you can look at nutrients, but when we're starting out, just keeping our calories are in control. We don't have to worry about organic or whatever. Just focus on the calories, and that will help. And sure, like Donald said, nutrient dense, filling foods, that's a different story. But don't get trapped in that halo effect of feeling virtuous because it is organic and a whole food. So,
all right. So we are finally here. Number 5 out of 5. Bring us home, darling.
I am bringing us home. So the last one is, again, this is coming out at the end of January, mid-January. The next one is, this isn't the right time to start tracking. I am busy. A middle of the month is never the time to start something. Starting something starts next month.
Yeah.
I will start tracking when things settle down. Once this work project is over, once the house repairs are done, once the dog is done potty training, once like my kid is done with whatever, after soccer season, we keep putting off making changes in our lives for this perfect, ideal moment where everything settles down. Listen up, everybody. Nothing ever settles down. It gets more. Like, if anything, more challenging things come our way. So guess what? It is never the perfect time.
Yeah, it turns out that being an adult is really just saying to yourself, well, next week things will settle down.
Oh my gosh. That's the biggest
over
lie.
and over again, every week for an entire year, and then it's 2026 suddenly.
Oh my gosh. I literally, before, like 2 weeks ago, a friend reached out and said, hey, we should hang out. And I was like, all right, well, let me just get through this week and then it'll be fine. Guess what? It's a full week later and it's still not the right time. And next week doesn't seem like the right time. So starting means doing it imperfectly. Starting means, you know what? I'm just going to write everything down. You know what? Starting means I'm going to be imperfect, but I'm going to do what I can. I'll track generically. I'll estimate. That is better than waiting for that perfect time where you believe that you'll be able to prep all your food, cook everything from scratch, measure and weigh everything, and no one's coming to visit, and you don't have any friends, and there's no holidays and no birthdays and no book clubs. This perfect time is not possible. And so starting now in the middle of the month, middle of the day, is more effective than waiting for that perfect moment, because it is not going to come. And I know when I started in January of 2016, my goal was just focus on what's in front of me. Not, okay, well, I'm going to track perfectly every single day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It's I can control today, and today I'm going to track. Do not focus on streaks. Do not focus on like, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to start in the middle of the week. I've got to start at the beginning of the week. Don't worry if you miss a day, start right back up. Don't wait for the next week or the next month. I can tell you right now that consistency matters more than perfection. So if you are taking anything away from this, again, remember that you're not going to remember later. Track it now. Have policies about tracking before you eat. Take a picture, write it down, and keep the evidence. Don't worry about not tracking accurately. Just track something. Again, working out, exercise is not going to make up for what you put in your mouth. Organic and whole foods are just buzzwords that distract you from eating at a deficit. And again, finding the right and perfect time is not going to happen. So track right now. Like we said in the episode, it might at the beginning take a couple of extra minutes to track, but really, Donald and I maybe spend 5 minutes a day, not even 5 minutes all at once, tracking. And that small investment can make the absolute biggest impact on your ability to lose weight. It's a drag. I don't want to do it. It's about taxes. I don't want to do that. We are grown-ups capable of a little bit of discomfort. 5 minutes of discomfort in your day? Like, come on.
Yeah, look, I
Get
don't
it
want
together.
to. I don't want to put gas in my car either. Or if you have electric, I don't want to charge it either. Like, I don't want to stop and do that. But it's about that amount of effort, maybe less, and it costs less money to track your food than any of those things.
It does. And making that small investment daily, like you're donating to the cause of your weight loss, is a small investment to make. Again, if you're not tracking calories, just write down and journal what you're eating. If like that is all it takes to make some progress. And if we can make that investment, we know that you can too.
Yes, indeed. And thank you so much for making the investment in listening to this show. We are really grateful. We really are.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of snark on this, but the fact that you've taken some time to listen to us talk about this really does mean a lot to us. We know you have a lot of choices on how to spend your day, and listening to this show means a lot to us. So thank you so much. You can listen to the most recent 300 episodes of this show on all of the major podcast platforms, wherever you found this episode. Or if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, you can do so on YouTube or at our website at any time at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, click on that link for join our support group to find out more about Wolt Place. We Only Look Thin Place is our Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan. Come in with whatever plan you're doing. Let's work on it together. We are a place for fellowship and accountability and a lot of mindset work. We have subgroups for specific interest areas. And most importantly, even if Facebook isn't your jam, I do weekly Zoom meetings. There is a Zoom meeting archive. There is so much content and so many different ways to stay accountable, stay present in your goals. So again, even if Facebook isn't really somewhere you want to spend a lot of time, the weekly Zoom meetings are an hour of your week that you can spend learning and investing and being coached by me. So I think it is worth it. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you.
Yeah, look, I married Catherine so that she could coach me for the rest of my life, but you don't have to go that far.
You don't want to hear what I have to say.
You can just join Wolt Place to have her coach you. Also, you can check us out on social media. We are at We Only Look Thin on Facebook and Instagram. Or if email is more your speed, you can send us an email to weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We enjoy episode suggestions. We've turned a lot of listener emails into episodes of the show. We did it just last week. Also, if you just want to give us a compliment, shout out, say hello. If you have questions, you can do all of those things to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep. And if you have a couple of extra minutes, please head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review.
Oh, yeah, do that.
Not only does it let us know that what we're doing after 7 years, week after week, is making a difference in your life, but it also helps others find our podcast when they are looking for inspirational, practical weight loss, funny podcasts like ours. Who knew that that was a combination? But here we are.
Here we are indeed. Or if you just tell somebody about the show, that really would help us out. That is a good way that will cost you nothing to help the show grow. If you're in a conversation with somebody, if you know somebody that you think would get something out of the show, or if you are on a Discord server, a Facebook group related to calorie counting, or a subreddit, and it makes sense to give us a shout out, we would really appreciate it.
We sure would.
So if you are still upset that we brought up paying taxes at the beginning of this episode, instead, please focus on the fact that Catherine and I are
an
inspiration. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only.
The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.